You know that feeling when you see or hear or smell something that reminds you of some old memories you forgot about, and you're like, oh man, I remember that those were some good times. It's like this weird nostalgic feeling. Well, I got that feeling again recently, and it was when someone reminded me of Wildstar. I absolutely loved Wildstar when it was active. There was so much hype around this MMO, and I was no exception.
I'd say things are going to get wild.
At the time, popular MMOs weren't really breaking the mold in any meaningful ways, but at the same time, we start to see seeds being planted for many MMO staples that we still see being played to this day. Specifically, Final Fantasy XIV: A Realm Reborn, which was released in 2013, and The Elder Scrolls as well as Black Desert were both released in 2014. Guess which game also came out in 2014? That's right, Wildstar. So as you can tell, things are really getting started to heat up for MMOs around this time. Even ignoring the huge releases of other MMOs, there was something really special about Wildstar that set it apart from its competition. It just had this unique, whimsical energy that was difficult to describe. I think the closest comparison to another MMO I could think of at that time would have been something like World of Warcraft, but that would be doing a disservice to Wildstar. But let me explain why I feel that way. Wildstar had a lot going on, and at first glance, the most captivating part of the game was its visual appeal. I mean, this game just looked absolutely gorgeous. It wasn't going for a photorealistic style, rather it was attempting to sort of kind of like duplicate the fun Pixar-like energy that you see some 3D media sometimes. I think the best word to describe it would be charm. That charm regularly found its way into the game in much of Wildstar's dialogue and interactions. When Wildstar was trending, it was usually because of these cinematic trailers that would release.
Have I made myself clear? Good. I certainly hope so.
I remember seeing them and being absolutely amazed that they were created using in-game graphics. At the time, I remember thinking about the cinematics. They look way better than anything else that I've seen on the market, at least as far as in-game cinematics were concerned. When it came to it, there was so much emotion into the characters, and they were definitely conveying that in each of the different trailers. When the game launched, there was a ton of excitement around it, with myself included. The world was immersive and beautiful with such rich, vibrant colors. The soundtrack was grand and exciting, and the gameplay was unlike anything that we've ever seen in an MMO before. There was a healthy variety of classes and races to choose from, and all of the starting worlds were just really cool. Speaking of the combat specifically, the telegraph system that Wildstar used to indicate where attacks would land was a huge step up from the previous MMO titles. It made fights so much more exciting and engaging than other previous games in the genre. Part of the reason that this was possible is simply just because technology had improved a lot in the recent years. World of Warcraft came out in 2007, and in 7 years since then, both computers and server infrastructure had improved dramatically to the point where combat like this was now possible. The way Wildstar treated its game profession was also new and exciting. What the team at Carbine did was they took inspiration from Bartle's 4 player types and based their profession system around that. There were 4 professions that you could choose from different race and class combinations: explorer, scientist, soldier, and settler. And there was a lot of variety between each one that honestly made choosing one rather difficult. Explorers got side content that encouraged you to cover different parts of the map on foot, as well as different platforming sections. Scientists got to unlock doors to areas that would reveal new discoveries about the game's lore, and then soldiers got to participate in extra combat sections with the reward of better gear. And let's not forget settlers, which was my personal favorite. They got the ability to establish these sort of nodes in the world that would reward other players in-game with such things like HP and attack speed buffs. These professions all help to give players a really strong sense of identity and purpose, which was just really great. And did I mention the housing system? Housing was still a relatively unexplored concept in 2014 MMOs, and Wildstar's housing might have been the most fleshed out one that we've seen until then. The housing and plots were ridiculously customizable, and there was even incentive to do things like plant crops and have other fun things to do on your land, like installing areas to play mini games. You could even have friends water your crops for you if you're away from on vacation or something. I know it's small, but I remember that blowing my mind at the time. The idea that a housing system could be that open-ended was just something, like I said, we haven't seen before. And who could forget the endgame content of Wildstar? it was all anyone could ever talk about, and this was both a good and unfortunately a bad thing. On one hand, the endgame stuff was amazing and had tons of thought and care put into it. On the other hand, it just took so long for players to reach to this point. Many players got burned out, unfortunately, too soon. Some people argue that they could have introduced more of these high-level raids early on, but it's hard to say what the correct decision could have been. So, where is Wildstar now? Unfortunately, the servers were shut down in November of 2018. The game was popular, but a series of unfortunate decisions by Carbine pushed players away. Such a decision to add far more realms than necessary, thereby dividing the players and making the world feel empty. As well, a lot of players being turned off by the process it took to get to endgame content. But despite its flaws, I'll forever remember Wildstar as a diamond in the rough. It had a few issues, but it was ultimately a special and very enjoyable time for myself and many other people who were lucky enough to experience it. So what did you guys think of Wildstar in its heyday? Did you guys get a chance to play it, or did you wish you were able to? Let me know your thoughts in the comment sections below. Thanks for watching. Catch you guys next time.